This huge storm is about to make history in the United States, as this is one of the strongest storms we've ever seen in the month of March when it comes to barometric pressure, and it's about to bring even more problems to the United States today, including the risk for severe weather, and blizzard conditions are about to continue. And then as we go into tomorrow and as well as Friday, the weather is going to be changing a ton, where we're going to start to see colder weather and a lot less wind across most of the country. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that's going to be impacting the United States over the next few days. We'll begin with what's happening across the country this morning, and this is just a huge storm, one of the biggest storms that you'll see in March really ever. The low pressure system is currently sitting back over in the Midwest. Lots of showers and thunderstorms have been rolling across the southeast and as well as even back through the east coast this morning, and we are anticipating a big round of severe weather later this morning into the afternoon hours, mainly back over in eastern North Carolina and as well as Virginia, where we can anticipate some significant damaging winds, hail, and even a potential for a few tornadoes, anywhere from Florida back into Pennsylvania. But our focus today will definitely be in Virginia, North Carolina, and as well as South Carolina. And also yesterday in North Texas, we had a ton of dust, and this is actually a photo sent in by Debbie over in Dallas, Texas. It literally looks like Mars. It was unbelievable. The winds were so strong, it brought a bunch of dust from over in areas like West Texas all the way across North Texas, and we even saw this dust make it as far east as areas like Houston, Texas. So definitely let me know in the comments below if you saw anything like this back over in Texas or in Oklahoma. Now, over the next few hours, we are anticipating snow to continue across Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. This will continue even through the early afternoon hours back over in Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan. As we go into this evening, that snow is going to start to wind down. Very light snow is anticipated, with strong winds continuing. All these tight isobars indicating that we are going to continue to see very strong wind gusts. But even back over in Kentucky and even maybe northern Tennessee, we could even see a little bit of snow tonight, including even areas like Ohio and Indiana. It will be relatively light snowfall in these areas, and then eventually as we go into Thursday morning, we are clearing out from this particular snow event. Back over in the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic, notice how we'll have a few snow showers tonight into tomorrow morning, and then eventually as we go into Thursday, it's all clearing out for areas like the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Now, we do have another risk of severe weather today back along the East Coast, where damaging winds, large hail, and even a few tornadoes are going to be a possibility, anywhere from Lake Erie all the way back through Florida. It looks like it's going to be a relatively significant day for this region, as we even do have a threat for significant damaging winds. We could have damaging winds as high as 80 miles per hour back over in South and North Carolina, and even back over into Virginia. So make sure that you're hatching down any trampolines, any loose line items, as we could have some very significant damaging winds as we go into the very late morning and as well as into the afternoon hours. Damaging winds, though, is possible anywhere from Lake Erie back into Florida. Our tornado risk for today is mainly going to be across the Mid-Atlantic, but we could still see a couple of isolated tornadoes, even back over into Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maryland, and Delaware, in addition to areas like Florida. So have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place just in case things get hairy later today. I unfortunately cannot be live today, but just make sure you have ways to receive warnings and you should be fine. This does not appear as if it's going to be a robust or significant tornado outbreak, potential at least, something like what we saw yesterday. This is going to be more of a line of thunderstorms. It'll move through. It'll be a little bit hairy, I think, for 45 minutes to an hour, and then it should clear up as we go later into the daytime today and as well as into tomorrow. So just over the next few hours, we are anticipating this tornado risk to start to ramp up back over in South Carolina and North Carolina. Right around 12 o'clock or so, we're going to start to see the amount of wind shear and as well as instability really start to grow there near the coastal regions, including areas like Myrtle Beach. As we go into the early afternoon, this tornado threat will continue to move to the east. We'll still have an environment where tornadoes are possible, even back over into eastern North Carolina. Further to the north, we also have enough wind shear where we could see an isolated tornado or two this afternoon across Virginia, Pennsylvania, even West Virginia and Maryland. Eventually, as we go into the evening hours, the tornado risk is going to be much lower. If there's any storm still remaining, we may see an isolated tornado even around 7, 8, 9 o'clock tonight. But again, I think the risk is much lower past sunset as daylight heating will start to wind down. But definitely a threat that you want to pay attention to. I really think Myrtle Beach back through the North Carolina coastline, this entire region here, is really the region where I would anticipate the greatest tornado threat from about 11 a.m. until about 4 p.m. or so today. So here's the timing for today. This is beginning around 9 to 10 a.m. this morning. Notice how the line of thunderstorms is going to stay relatively far back to the west. This is where we're anticipating some isolated damaging winds, maybe a brief tornado. By around lunchtime, this threat of severe weather will start to ramp up as instability is growing and as well as the amount of wind shear is growing. This is again the corridor that I anticipate the greatest greatest tornado risk, mainly because we have a lot more clearing out in front of this line. That should allow for some more inflow into these storms that are embedded in this line of thunderstorms. Even by around 1 to 2 o'clock, we're talking about some damaging winds. Some of the kinks in the line could lead to a couple of tornadoes back up in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and even back again into North Carolina and South Carolina. And then by 3 to 4 p.m. this afternoon, this line of storms will continue to produce some significant damaging winds. But we're also going to be watching behind this line of storms, not just a little bit of rain, but we actually have a cold core setup that is going to form back over here near the low pressure system in areas like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, and back up near Lake Erie. This does not appear as if it's going to produce that much of a tornado risk. I think maybe a brief tornado or two are possible, but more than anything, this is going to be more geared towards a bit more of a hail risk as we go into the late afternoon and early evening. So something to watch for there. A few storms will try to form. I don't anticipate these to be too significant, just something to keep a close eye on if you have any outdoor activities this evening. And then as we go into the nighttime hours, we are done with this severe weather threat across the East Coast, and this storm system is all done as we go into most of Thursday. And this storm system is going to continue to bring very high winds over the next several hours. This is what it looks like around 9 to 10 a.m. this morning. Still talking about wind gusts as high as 30 to 50 miles per hour in most of the Great Plains, the Midwest, and back into the Southeast. It will start to die down, though, as we go into tonight. So some good news there. If you're back along the East Coast, we're talking about high winds throughout the daytime as well today. And then as we go into tomorrow, the winds will continue in most areas across the Appalachian Mountains and as well as back into the Ohio Valley and along the East Coast. Not nearly as intense as what we've seen in the Great Plains, where we've had wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour, but still pretty high, around 30 to 45 miles per hour. And then eventually, as we go into Friday morning, the wind is mostly geared towards areas in the Northeast. And this storm system has been relatively historic. We are talking about barometric pressure that is shattering records for the month of March back over in the Midwest. It got down to near 975 millibars, which is a very intense low pressure system for the month of March. That never happens usually in the United States. But as we go into Thursday and as well as into Friday, that storm system is going to move out. We are anticipating a small shot of snow back over in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley as we go into Friday. And then eventually, as we go into the weekend, we are anticipating another storm back over along the Gulf Coast and in the Southeast. This does not appear as if it's going to be anything that significant, but maybe some isolated severe weather either Saturday or Sunday. And then eventually, as we go into next week, the weather is honestly not looking too shabby, I think, until sometime around the middle or end of next week. So definitely looking like a pretty decent time frame if you have any outdoor activities. Not really anticipating any big storm systems until at least around Wednesday or Thursday of next week. And the temperature roller coaster will continue for the next several days. A small shot of cold air will move into the southeast tonight. So if you feel some colder weather, that is exactly why. As we go into Friday into Saturday, temperatures rebound for most of us. Above average temperatures in the southeast, slightly below average from the southwest all the way back into the northeast. And then as we go into the late weekend, early next week, warm air will start to build again in the Great Plains, Midwest, and as well as along the East Coast, with some colder weather continuing back along the West Coast. A few atmospheric river events are also going to occur, so we'll see even more rainfall back in California, Oregon, and as well as into Washington. And then by the later half of next week, we're going to be more than likely talking about a more extensive period of above average temperatures east of the Rocky Mountains. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.